Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Oh,
Yeah, that is a dope room.
I know. I feel like I would spend quite a while just perusing the shelves.
Listen, the pinball machine is a big distraction when I'm trying to work. It's not a good thing to have in your office.
Although, to be honest, like maybe what I'm telling myself now is that it would be a good way for me to get into a meditative state thinking about story.
There you go. See? So, but thank you guys so much for taking the time today. I really super appreciate it. I watched the first 4 episodes, which is all they would give us, which is very sad because now I'm addicted and I need to know more and I'm kind of obsessed with this world. But the first thing I have to talk about, guys, this soundtrack is amazing, but also the theme song. Like, can you guys talk about bringing on Imagine Dragons for that? Like, getting that theme song and just, that had to have been amazing for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the question early on was like, okay, what would be our theme song? Like, which artist would even fit for that? And because we've had that relationship with Imagine Dragons for a long time, it was kind of like I don't know, it just felt like it had to be them, I remember going to Dan, the singer's house at some point when it went down to just kind of thinking about what kind of music would make sense. And he had kind of written something. He had a demo. He was like, oh, I'm not sure if this could fit and everything. And he had played Enemy and just kind of from the perspective of Vi, it just kind of clicked. Like, he like a bunch of demos and this was just like the one. And it's been, a long time since we kind of worked that in. I mean, it was, it's unusual for the music industry to commit a song to something that takes like so many years to make because they want it to just be out. It just was the perfect match, So that was really amazing, and also kind of sparked this idea that we want to find basically like a moment in every episode where the music can really shine, like the spotlight is on the music in those moments, and so yeah, it's a great passion of ours.
Yeah, well, it's great. I'll tell you, from the moment, like the first time it kicked in, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in. I'm so in on this show. Like, that was all I needed. Plus the amazing visuals, and then the story gets you, and then all the characters. Like, it's so good. I just, seriously, like I said, I'm totally addicted to it. But I'm curious how you guys, and Alex, if you want to answer this one, how you would describe Arcane for people who do not know the game.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's in some ways it's a very classic story, of haves and have-nots. It's this city that we think is very visually unique. The top side, being this sort of like Da Vincian inventor's paradise, and then the Undercity. It's kind of its counterpoint. Being, what we kind of call like a Gothic Vegas. And I think, it at its core, Arcane is really just a story of duality, right? Of these 2 halves of the city and these many different character pairings where, they're bound together either by principle or by family or tradition. And then, like they find that those elements, get sort of like opposed against each other, right? Like, it's like, who do you stick with when you're someone who's your closest family relative, winds up having a completely opposite idea of what morals are, or if you've become bound to someone in a mission that you both have in life, what's the point that you say like, hey, we need to part ways. So I think that's something that infuses all of the character stories, but it's also, I think for me, the parts of the show that really grab me the most are the points where people from, opposite sides of the fence, sort of like have to form a bridge against, the judgment of everyone around them. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that.
Well, it does feel a little like relevant to times today in the last couple of years too, doesn't it? Where like, you might split ways with family or friends, and maybe not a good thing, but sometimes maybe it is a good thing. So I definitely got that vibe. Like, some stuff I felt like PTSD from the last couple of years of stuff that was going on in this. But like I said, I really, really enjoyed the story. But speaking of the 2 sides, I feel like there's pros and cons to living in both areas if you had to choose where you would live. Would you live in Piltover or Zaun for both of you?
I mean, no question, Zaun.
Interesting. Interesting.
No
Wow.
question.
I am intrigued both by your question and by Christian's answer, because if you will glance around his house, I know you can't see more, but I would. Well, all right. I guess I could see this on. I think of you more as a Piltover guy, but I guess I could see this on. Interestingly, I might go Piltover, even though I would guess
Really
that stays on. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I feel like the subtext here, but you just called me prissy, Alex. But
Was that subtext? I didn't mean to bury the lead so deep.
I don't know. I feel like what do we always say? We always say like all the people that would probably live in Piltover, they would still go to Zaun to on the weekend or Friday or Saturday night. So, but I don't know. I do feel like Zaun is just more fascinating because nothing is off limits, and like everything can kind of get invented and purchased. So I think that's just is a really intriguing.
Perhaps Christian and I are just yearning for the side that we, in fact, don't live on right now.
So this cast, though, is amazing. Like, every single person just feels like they're absolutely perfect in that role. Can you talk about working with them, and maybe were there any challenges over the pandemic, or are they pretty much all finished recording by then?
I mean, the casting process took us a very long time. I think up to like 3 years or something like that, because it was pretty scary to think about like how do you cast Jinx or Viktor when they're like these characters that are so beloved by our audience, but also we had some pretty strong visions for what we wanted to explore with them. You have these big moments, but you also have these very intimate moments, and the whole drama level was new to us. Like we had never seen our characters really speak before. Like in our game, you don't really get to see that angle from them, and so I think we were very lucky in that we ended up with people that were very generous with their time, because it was a very involved process. How we work with our talent, but also to your point, like I think we were just really able to explore these crazy dimensions with the characters. Like for Jinx to have these really big moments, but then also these very intimate moments. I mean, even just I think you said you saw episode 4.
Yes.
So good. Like you explore it's a pretty crazy range that we're asking Ella, our Jinx actress, to hit, or even just Mia, who played Powder, like finding someone that back then I think she was like 11 or 12 that can pull off these crazy moments where, like, I remember we recorded that moment in episode 3. It was just like fuck, I think it was scary when we started the casting process, because we knew we were gonna like look for talent that just really needs to deliver some of these moments. And I think just feeling really lucky that we ended up with the people that we work with now.
I think it was also just, I mean, there were so many hidden surprises in that process too. I mean, there are stories for days, but to pick one, Singed, I think is a very funny casting choice for us, where he, if you look at the actor who plays him, he is a basically like leading man kind of guy. I think he was in
handsome,
yes, strapping Australian soap opera star kind of guy, and he came in for this sort of aging scientist character, and he came in like day one. He came in with this idea. He's like, I want to go with something like this, and we're like, oh, he's really motivated, and we're like, all right, well, take it away, show us what you want to do. And I feel like his voice now is just so signature to that character. So the list goes on. There are lots of people like that who just sort of brought an idea or brought themselves into the booth, and wound up, I think, in a lot of ways kind of molding what those characters were for us.
Well, that's the
and we're gonna have to. I'm so sorry. We're gonna have to wrap, Tessa. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Can't wait
Yeah.
for
Thank
more.
you.
Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.